Kicking off Guilds of Ravnica week with Lazav the Multifarious versus Taigam Ojutai Master, and we have a pretty good hand, I think, so we can keep it. Lazav the Multifarious is a 1/3 for 2 mana, and it enters. When it enters, you surveil 1, and then you can pay X to make it a copy of a creature that's in your graveyard. X is the converted mana cost of the creature that you're copying, and we can just do Mana Vault on turn 1 and pass to our opponent. Our opponent, Taigam, instant and sorceries and dragons that you control can't be countered. The spells can't be countered. It's 3/4 for 4 mana, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand, if Ojutai Master attack this turn, that spell gains rebound. We will of course not pay for Mana Vault to untap, and that will be a big no. Then I think, Sol Ring as well. We could go for Grim Monolith into Sol Ring and play out the Watery Grave untapped. Yeah, I think we do that. I think we go for Grim Monolith into Sol Ring and then play out Jace and start throwing our creatures into our graveyard in the early game. This is a little bit of a combo-centric deck. Grim Monolith. Actually, I'm thinking of completely the wrong card. Basalt Monolith is the one I'm thinking of, and that is 3 to play, 3 to tap, and 3 to untap. And with Mesmeric Orb in play, which is a 2 mana... we could... No, I don't think we are going to do that. With the Mesmeric Orb, whenever a player's permanent untaps, you mill a card. So basically you can infinitely mill with Basalt Monolith, and that's the card I was thinking of there. We will go for our commander here and surveil 1, see what's on top of our library. Oh, we have Phyrexian Dreadnought. Do we want to put it into the graveyard? We certainly do. So 2 hits for our opponent from the Phyrexian Dreadnought. That's a very lucky surveil there. And we will, we'll ditch the Looter Ilkor and pass over to our opponent. So they are now on a 2-turn clock, assuming that they don't get a creature out, because what we can do is turn our commander into a Looter Ilkor, which has Shadow, so it's effectively unblockable, and then throw it into our opponent. Once blockers are declared, then we can turn it into a Phyrexian Dreadnought, which is a 12/12, and 2 hits like that will see commander damage to our opponent. And we will not untap the Mana Leak. Mana Leak? Mana Vault. Yeah, I don't know where Mana Leak comes from. We'll tap Jace down again, and we'll get our Jace's Archivist into the bin. And we can get down Mana Crypt. And yeah, I think we just go for the Looter Ilkor here. Actually, why don't I try and be more intelligent with my mana? Although actually, yeah, I don't think it matters. I think we just go for the Phyrexian Dreadnought. It's not like Looter Ilkor will give it any hexproof or anything. It's targeted removal I'm thinking of. I wanted to try and hold up Notion Thief as best we can. See if this hits. Our opponent might have a flash creature or Swords to Plowshare, something like that. Destroy a creature with toughness 4 or greater. So what we can do then is turn that into, to keep it from dying, we can turn it into a Looter Ilkor, which will give it 1 toughness and should fizzle. Yeah, and then we can turn it back into a Phyrexian Dreadnought And these are the types of shenanigans you can do with this deck. We effectively just got rid of one of our opponent's removal spells simply by turning it into a different creature. And we'll hold up Opt. I wanted to hold up the Notion Thief, but we unfortunately don't have enough coloured mana on the board. But we have gotten very luckily into a lot of mana rocks. Now we might see our opponent's creature here, which is Taigam Ojutai Master, of course, but we'll not be able to put hexproof onto it. Yeah, and our opponent just scoops there, so that was quite a fast game. Shows exactly what our commander can do. Lazav, the Multifarious. You want to load up your graveyard much more than we did there. We got some lucky mills, but the combos and everything that you can do with the deck are explained in the deck list, the link to which is on the description of this video. It takes you through to Tapped Out and tells you exactly what you can do with the deck. I'll try and upload lots of videos to show you all the different types of combos and things you can do with Lazav, but failing that, you can just go and look at the deck list yourself and see where I make all the mistakes and forget about the combos that I've put in the deck myself. My name's Tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching. Welcome to Guilds of Ravnica week. We are kicking off with Lazav, the Multifarious, and we're up against Slimefoot, the Stowaway, another fairly new commander. Yeah, I think we can keep this. We can go into a turn 2, Glimpse the Unthinkable. Maybe a turn 3, depending on how we draw. Might be worth getting Lazav out, but I don't usually like playing Lazav into a board state where I can't protect it with something that's got hexproof or something like that. Which one do we want? I always get these new... Yeah, we want the cycle land that always comes into play tapped and we can pass over to our opponent. Yeah, I think we will go into a turn 2 Glimpse the Unthinkable. That'll mill 10 cards. And then we can see about maybe getting Jace's Archivist or Lazav into play. So we'll do just that. We'll find out what we mill and then we can find out what we're doing from there. So let's pull this up to the side and have a look. Doesn't look like we got a whole lot of anything, to be honest. Sire of Stagnation and Consecrated Sphinx are 2 big card draw effects. And a Looter Ilkor gives us a discard and a sort of unblockable effect. Yeah, so I think we're getting into Jace's Archivist next turn. We can try and ditch even more cards, maybe even Mission Briefing into Brainstorm. Yeah, we'll see what we draw into next turn. Not too happy. We could even wait for turn 4 and go for Mission Briefing into Glimpse the Unthinkable and try some more mill. Speaking of more mill, Traumatize is not bad. Okay, I'm going to, just for the sake of pacing, I'm going to risk playing out Lazav. I don't have any means of giving it protection, but we will get to Surveil, see what we put into the grave. No, we'll put Hero's Downfall on top, and we can kill our opponent's commander with that. Yeah, because I drew into the Traumatize, I'm not going to be using Jace's Archivist and wheeling that away. Jace's Archivist is a windfall effect for a single blue and tap. I don't want to get rid of the Traumatize, so I think next turn is Mission Briefing into Glimpse the Unthinkable. We'll mill 10 more cards and then maybe go into a Traumatize the turn after that, hoping we get a land. Although we do get, what's it called? Hero's Downfall next turn. So we might not draw into a land. Yeah, I think we do. I think we do just go for Mission Briefing onto the... Yeah, that's 2 lands on top, so we can go... Yeah, just in case they get rid of our black, we'll have to put the Polluted Delta on top and shuffle away that island. I'd rather not, but needs must and all that. And we'll go for the Glimpse of the Unthinkable. And see what else we got there. Okay, Necrotic Ooze is a combo with Bloodline Keeper as soon as we get Grim Grin. Wall of Souls combos with an Infect creature that we have in here. Dark Confident is card draw. Yeah, okay, so we're getting some stuff in there now. Traumatize, of course, is going to get even more into the graveyard for us. Yeah, we'll just pass over to our opponent now. And pull these commander windows down a little bit. But yeah, this is what we want to do with Lazav. It's a 1/3 for 2. You surveil when it comes in, and then you can pay X to make it a copy of a creature in your graveyard, where X is the CMC of the creature you're copying, and it keeps that ability, so you can turn it into any creature in your graveyard and do combos with things like Necrotic Ooze. And I just realised I was worrying about what lands I was putting on the top before I was about to mill 10 with the Glimpse of the Unthinkable. That's a silly mistake on my part, but we did draw into another black mana source, so it all turned out right in the end. Traumatize on myself, and we should get into... I'd be intrigued to see if we get into Grim Grin actually. Let me just... Yes, we do get into Grim Grin, so if we can somehow get Bloodline Keeper out there and force our opponent to get rid of that, then we could be seeing a Grim Grin, Bloodline Keeper, Necrotic Ooze combo. And that is just turning Lazav, the Multifarious, into a Necrotic Ooze, which is in here somewhere. Oh, it's difficult to see with all these. Necrotic Ooze gives... There it is. It gives you all the activated abilities of all creature cards in all graveyards. I didn't know it did it in all graveyards, actually. Oh, so we could sacrifice it for a basic land if we were desperate with the Skura Tribe Elder. But yeah, the main thing is with that, Bloodline Keeper will be able to tap down for... Or the Necrotic Ooze with Bloodline Keeper's ability will be able to tap down for a Vampire token. Then you'll be able to untap it with... Where is Grim Grin? With Grim Grin's ability, putting a +1/+1 counter on your commander or your Necrotic Ooze. And then you'll be able to tap it down with the Bloodline Keeper's ability, sacrifice the Vampire to untap it, get a +1/+1 counter, blah blah blah, just keep doing that over and over and over again. But I am yet to see if we actually have any more combos in here. I think I noticed the Wall of Souls somewhere. Yes, Wall of Souls is here. And that combos with big creatures swinging in. And the Vector Asp, which gives itself Infect. And the Wall of Souls with Infect will deal Infect damage to our opponent. We're very lucky. We only have 35 lands in this deck, and we don't seem to struggle finding them, which is good for us. I want to see if we can give Lazav protection, though. So let me just go quiet on you a second and have a quick look. Okay, it doesn't look like we have a means of giving it protection, so I think we can just go for the Bloodline Keeper here. We'll hold up what I'm sure our opponent thinks is counter magic, and maybe we can turn Lazav into Jace Vryn's Prodigy or something like that. I suppose we could have turned it into Jace Vryn's Prodigy and then discarded the Bloodline Keeper. But I'm still getting used to this deck, and some of the interactions are a little bit difficult to keep track of, or they're difficult to keep track of for me. I haven't played many games with this deck, seeing as how it's only just come out on Friday with the Guilds of Ravnica cards. But once I've played a few games, I'm sure I'll be able to see the combos very quickly and therefore play much faster. Basalt Monolith is in the deck with, what is the name of that card? Mesmeric Orb. Mesmeric Orb is a very good 2-mana self-mill card, and it self-mills for every player whenever you untap a permanent. And Basalt Monolith, of course, can tap down for 3 mana and then use that 3 mana to untap itself, so you could just mill yourself infinitely and go for something like Lab Maniac win. That's not something that I have in this deck, the Lab Maniac, because I wouldn't like to win that way, to be honest. We discard 2 cards at random, so that's not the end of the world. It would be nice to keep hold of that that hero's downfall, but that's not terrible that we've been made to get rid of that. And let's see if we can actually. No. Phase the Untouchable. Did I see that in here? Phase the Untouchable. 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we draw into a oh, actually we have Vector Asp there. You see what I mean with me not being able to follow very well all these different lines of play. Yep, we just pay 1 for that. Turn Lazav and Multifarious into a shadow creature. If we draw into a land here, we may be able to win by turning, and we do. We pull 1 off the top deck. So if we swing in with this and connect, we can turn it into a Phase the Untouchable and win right here. I'll get a basic with that, and we'll just go straight in for the kill on our opponent. This Ilkor, of course, has Shadow, so it can only be blocked by Shadow creatures. Our opponent has declared blockers, so it looks like we can just go for Phase the Untouchable. And Phase the Untouchable, as soon as it hits your opponent, you win the game. So we'll see. And no, Abrupt Decay, and that's why it's so important to try and get hexproof on your commander. We do, at the very least, get an Abrupt Decay out of our opponent's hand, but I don't think there's anything stopping us from doing that next turn. Or not next turn, it'll be the turn after, because we will of course have to replay Lazav. But right now we can just try and hold off our opponent with vampire tokens. Still of course don't know what this morph creature is. But yeah, that's the type of thing you can go for. We still don't have anything that can give Lazav protection. There is a Lightning Greaves in this deck, but you're of course very likely to mill that. So we'll just go for the Lazav again. We'll Surveil 1. And Toxic Deluge might be useful to have on top, so we'll do exactly that and put that on top. Yeah, going through the graveyard, I don't think I'm missing anything that can give us protection. No, so I will turn it into an Ilkor at the end of next turn, go for that Ancestral Visions, and I think we can swing in with the 2/2 Flying Vampire. Not sure it's going to be all that relevant this game, but you never know what. I mean, especially next turn with that mana reflection, doubling our opponent's mana sources is quite frightening, especially if they get something like a Genesis Wave on that or something like that. Yeah, we could really do with getting some kind of hexproof on Lazav. I'm really hoping as well that they don't have some means of, like Bajuka Bog, some kind of graveyard hate. That would just stop us dead in our tracks, I think. Our opponent's thinking about what they want to do, so in the meantime I can just go through here and show you what's what. So the Lutra Ilkor is what we will go with at the end of this turn in order to get through the Phage win. We have Vector Asp. Vector Asp can give Lazav Infect. And, oh, Pernicious Deed is going to wipe the board by the looks of it, so I don't think any of this is going to be relevant so far. I imagine they're going to go for 4 into the Pernicious Deed and keep their Mana Reflection on the board. And that will make our Lazav cost 6. Okay, but no, they're going for the Thelonite Hermid. And Thelonite Hermid, when it is turn faced up, creates 4 green sapling creature tokens. And yeah, they are of course going for 4 on that. I don't think there's anything we can do with the Bloodline Keeper or anything else, so we will just, yeah, we'll just let that happen. And the Thelonite Hermit will throw out those Saproling tokens. And then Slimefoot, probably going for some kind of aristocrat win, but we'll have to see. They might be going for some kind of tokens going wide theme. Doing a good job of keeping us off of our commander so far. But hopefully they've run out of gas by now. They do still have 4 cards in the hand. Let's see how much Lazav costs. Okay, that does cost 6. I think we're going to have to go slow and play, I suppose, Toxic Deluge. We can wait. We could turn Lazav into something quite big in, what do we have with the biggest toughness that could survive a Toxic Deluge? Wall of Souls isn't that big. Phase Untouchable is only a 4/4. Torrential Gear Hulk has 6 toughness, that might do it. Will cost 6 mana for us to do it though, which is a lot of mana to... I think we just take a turn off, to be honest, and get rid of our opponent's things. They might be able to play out a load of threats next turn, but I like just slowing down our opponent as much as they're slowing us down. Next turn we can try and get Lazav out. And yeah, carry on going for one of our combo wins. We do have Phyrexian Dreadnought as well, which I didn't spot until now. Phyrexian Dreadnought is a cheaper thing to go for, so that, along with the Looter Ilkor, will mean that 2 hits from that. Actually, what we could do is go for the Vector Asp. Yeah, so what we can do with this is give our commander Infect for a black mana, then turn it into a Looter Ilkor, give it Shadow, swing in, wait for our opponent to declare blockers, and then turn it into a Phyrexian Dreadnought, and that will hit our opponent for lethal on Infect, and it's much cheaper mana-wise to do that. Okay, Snapcaster Mage could be useful, but we are not going to... Yeah, I think we're just going to go in for Lazav here. And see what we get off the Surveil. Do we want to... I think I might like, for the Transmute, I might like to get into that. Especially if we can get something like... Oh no, so Clonic Rift is in the bin. I think we'll just put that on top anyway. Just to see what we can... not cycle. What's the word? Tutor for with that. We can get something that costs 2 CMC or less. And is this going for... I haven't even looked what this thing does. Okay, that creates Sapling creature tokens for 3 mana. And you can sack a Sapling to give Saplings +1/+1. So, looks like that's really good with something like Parallel Lives or Doubling Season. Well, still 4 cards in our opponent's hand, and looks like they've still got plenty of things to do. Okay, Slimefoot coming back into play. We're getting quite low on the old life total, but we can try and go in for lethal next turn. We can also try and snapcast a mage. Anything, it'd be worthwhile seeing if we can get into any kind of counter magic. I don't think there's any in the graveyard, so it might be worth using the mystical tutor that I just saw at the beginning of our turn, which means I will, at our upkeep, do that. Okay, and they can give +3/+3 to these things. And can they kill Lazav as well? This is a good showing from our opponent being able to keep our commander off the battlefield. This is why it's quite important to have as many hexproof effects as you can. And I might be running low on some myself in this deck, still learning it. But let's see what types of buffs our opponent can give these saprolings. They might just have lethal on us here. It looks like they do. Oh, we accidentally passed through the blocking phase. Alright, well, we're on -6, so it looks like they had us anyway. Yeah, what we were going for there was, I think, a turn sooner. Had we have gotten there, it was good removal on our opponent's side of the field. If we had gotten another turn, we could have gone into Snapcaster Mage on the Mystical Tutor, gone into Counter Magic backup, that would have been 3 mana, then gone into the Looter Il-Kor. Yeah, I don't think we would have had enough mana to do it anyway. We could have gone for the Looter Il-Kor without the Counter Magic backup then swung in, gone into Vector Asp, given it Infect, then gone into the Phyrexian Delver, would have dealt 12 Infect damage. But our opponent played well and managed to get us before we could do that, so good game to our opponent. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. More Lazav coming up. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.